Ileana Partida didn't just master tequila, she reinvented it. In an industry built on tradition and dominated by men, she carved her own path with vision, instinct, and fearless innovation. Every drop of Amatitens is proof that tequila isn't only made, it's imagined, reborn, and driven by a woman who turned barriers into breakthroughs. Iliana isn't just changing tequila, she's redefining its future. On this episode of Tactical Tequila Podcast with your host, Matt Wilson. If you enjoy the show, hit the like button, subscribe, and share it to your social media platforms. Thanks for tuning in and enjoy the show. Welcome back, everyone. Matt with Tactical Tequila Podcast here, and we have a great show planned tonight. On tonight's show, we have Ileana Partida, the one, the only. In a world where tequila has long been defined by tradition and guarded by men, Ileana Partida didn't just step into the arena. She rewrote the rules. A master distiller whose craft blends science, instinct, and unapologetic creativity, she's carved her name into the industry that wasn't built to welcome her. Now, with Amatitens, Iliana is proving that tequila isn't just distilled, it's imagined, reinvented, and reborn through vision and fire. This is the story of a woman who turned doubt into dominance, innovation into a bottle that refuses to be ignored. Iliana, welcome to the show. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
No, thanks to you for the invitation and for that amazing introduction. I highly appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And you and I first met at this last Sabor LA. And that was the first time ever meeting you. And I've been wanting to get you on the show. And I've talked to a couple people who have, we'll make the introduction. We'll make the introduction. And it just, for whatever reason, didn't happen. But I was happy to meet you in LA at the last Sabor, and finally got to sample your new brand, and I was very happy about that. And just want to dive into things. When you're staring at a barrel or an agave field, what sparks your next idea? Is it instinct, science, or just pure curiosity?
I will say pure curiosity. Why? Because instinct, of course, is very important, very deep. Science is very important, but I think the basis is curiosity. I think the first thing you have to be open to is to ask yourself questions, to ask people more questions about it, and that's pure curiosity. So I will say that's it.
I love that. What would you say the boldest experiment that you have ever tried in tequila that most would probably dare to never attempt?
I think projects like Quintaliza, I love them very much, but I think the boldest thing that we have tried, it has nothing to do with tequila itself. I think the hardest part that we have done is to try to treat the vinazas, for example, which is, the outcome after we produce tequila. So I think the techniques of how it is treated right now, we are trying to change that. We are trying to apply new ideas, and that is the most risky idea that we are doing right now, that experiment. So I hope that everything goes well, because if it does, that means we will be having more water to the agriculture and to cattle raising in Amatitan. So that's very important to me.
And talking about that and leaning into tradition, how do you balance respecting tradition and breaking it wide open?
I think it's kind of difficult. I think tradition has a lot to do with family, for example, and it's not always easy to speak clearly and open wide to the family, because you have feelings. Everyone has feelings. So you have to be very knowledgeable and very sensitive about approaching new ideas. So I will say with a lot of love. That's it. A lot of love, communication, being honest, and remember that is very important that we can communicate what we feel and what we want, what we truly want. And if this path takes us all to the success, that's amazing. If it is not, it is also okay to say goodbye, even when it's a family tradition.
I respect that very much. An off the wall question. If your tequila, Amititense, was a genre of music, what would it be?
I find that very interesting because I want to think in one type of music and I cannot. So I will say that Amatitense, it will be like a mariachi playing some Frank Sinatra song, like a blend or
Okay.
mix between two ideas that works perfectly together when they merge, when they blend. So I will say that Amatitense is like that. Like this Netflix show, Bridgerton, where you can find like some even reggaeton songs by playing in really classical instruments. I think that's the merge that we are looking for or trying to make it happen in Amatitense.
I love that. Turning, into making several different brands, what would you say a mistake has been that has turned into one of your greatest innovations?
I will say probably Amatitense actually, because when we start trying to make new batches to try to figure out what was Amatitense going to be, I tried, one batch as the traditional taona and fermentation in wood, etc. And then I was trying to combine different, not combine, to try to use different yeast to see which one works the better and things like that. And at some point, one of the people that was working with me blend 3 of the batches that we were doing back then. And I got so mad because I wanted to be perfect. I wanted to be, like the perfect amount of this percentage of batch and then the second batch and then the third batch. But I was thinking like by separately, right? So when I find out, they were so sorry and they like say, oh, we forgot and we blend all these blancos. And I was like, what are you doing? Why? And then we try it and it was really, really cool. It was really nice. So when I said like, okay, I think this could be something very interesting to try on Amatitense. So we start to put in the rules about what batch should be, how it should taste, and then how are we going to blend it. And I think it turned out very, very fantastic.
And in talking about that and creativity, do you feel that creativity in tequila comes from being patient or risk taking?
I think risk taking. I mean, patient, yes, probably when you are waiting for an next añejo, but the first thing that you have to try is to take the risk, to try new barrels, to try new charge, to try, I don't know. So the risk has to come first before the innovation appears.
And which flavor profile are you chasing right now that tequila lovers haven't experienced yet?
I'm not sure about that. We're trying a few things. I haven't tried a tequila that is in extremely floral. There's a lot of minerality, there's a lot of spiciness, there's a lot of herbal. So we're trying a little bit to get into that family of aromas. But I am not sure it's going to be in Amatitense. That will be for sure on my next brand that is going on probably next year.
And has there ever been a time that you've just surprised yourself or even shocked yourself with something that you've created?
I don't know. To be honest, I am very perfectionist. So I always find something wrong in everything. So I'm always trying to like, oh yeah, I can do better. Oh yeah, I can do better. I think when people is trying the tequila, they're they're always reminding me, like, Ileana, this is so cool. Just stop and enjoy what you have in your glass right now. And I'm always thinking, like, what is the next batch is going to be? How are we going to make it different? How? But always thinking in the future. And I'll be honest, sometimes I forget to enjoy the present. So I don't say that I have shocked
And
myself, but I think, yeah, I think the recent projects like Quintaliza and a few others that we're working with, those were really, really amazing. But I don't know, like shock me and say like, yeah, yeah, I'm the best. No, I never said that.
talking about Quintaliza, I had Mike Winters on the show not too long ago. What were your first thoughts when he approached you with this idea of putting tequila in coffee barrels?
I thought that was the coolest. I had made with here, right? I had made a few samples already, not only with coffee, but with cacao, with vanilla, with a few different things. And when he mentioned, I said like, yes, yes, I want to do that. I want to do that for sure. And then he explained his idea, and I think, okay, that's something different. Let's try it. And I truly love it, not only because of the procedure that he was trying to implement, but also but his his whole team personality. They were so cool. They were so open mind. It was they're such a great guys, to be honest.
If Amatitense was judged by emotion instead of taste, what feeling would be in the bottle?
I would love to that people feel proud and probably a little bit of nostalgic.
Okay. So with the brand you created, why now and why under your own name?
I think Amatitense was taking too long to develop, to be honest. We had the brand registered since 28 years ago. So it was just waiting for someone to hear that story or to be able to make something different around that. We were so proud and the expectations were so high that we never launched it. So the first day that I was named as the director of the company, I knew for sure that that was one of the projects that I wanted to take out to the market.
What is one thing that you just refuse to compromise on with the brand?
Um, Quality in all the aspects. For example, we try so hard to make the perfect shape of the bottle. Besides, of course, great tequila, great agave, but everything was special. So since the bottle that is inspired in the Church of Amatitan had to be perfect and the label had to be perfect and the cap with the small shot inside had to fit in, had to be perfect. So everything took a lot of time and I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it. It just make it even more special, not only by the inside, but it it didn't really matter that it took us 5 years to develop. It didn't matter because I think it was worth it.
Talking about it being worth it, when you want drinkers to describe Amatitense in one word, what would make you the proudest when they describe it?
Um, I would love that people think that is exceptional. That will make me feel the proudest.
And, with forming the company and how long it took you, was there ever a single moment that you were like, I have to do this, and it gave birth to the brand?
Yes, the first day. The first day, I had too many years wanted to create something around the Matitense, and since the first day, I had to take my notes and put my goals, and one of them was a Matitense, among many other, among putting the Hacienda de Oro facility out there, putting the NOM out there, bringing some new private labels that were worth it, that were unique. So that was one of the moments that I realized that it was now it depends on me how good or how bad the company was doing out there. So I had very clear that I wanted to add way more ideas into this company.
Was there ever a moment when launching the brand that, with it being so personal, and did it ever scare you trying to launch it in a way that there's so many other brands out there?
Yes, I think it's always scary. When I think about how many private labels are out there, is scary. It's like 3,000 different tequilas, and that's scary. So one of the first projects was putting more private labels into the company. That was actually one of the first goals that we achieved because we were scared about being outside and, have a lot of competition, not enough budget on marketing and things like that. But then I realized that we have a lot to offer out there, and there that are also way too many labels that doesn't mean anything, that they don't really care about anything. They don't care about tradition, they don't have too much story, they don't have any people that actually work in the tequila industry for more than 30 days. So when I realized that we had so much, I said, like, okay, why are you waiting, Ileana? We have to do this. It's like now or whenever. We already have 26 years in the market. We already have 3 generations. What exactly are you waiting? So we decided that it is probably not the best time for tequila because there's a lot of, it's never going to be the perfect timing anyway. So let's start right now.
No better time than the present. So that leads into my next question. You mentioned about not having a story behind a brand and people not being in the industry or, making tequila for a long period of time. How much of the brand is metaphorically tequila and how much of it is your personal story that's distilled into each bottle?
I will say is 100% agave, 100% tequila. I don't know. I think the story only adds another 100%. So it's like 200% out there of pure amazingness. I don't know. I would say probably 30%, according to your question, because we are trying to project 3 generations, right? With 3 different processes and 3 batches and 3 Gs. And so I will say that 30% is about me, and the other 30% is about my grandfather, and the other 30% is about my dad. So if we want to put it that way, I would say, yeah, it's a lot of stories combined that makes one legacy.
And it's an amazing legacy at that. I mean, we were talking just before the show, and you're one of the few females that are dominating the industry with the products that you're making, whether it's several brands or your brand. I think it's great that as a woman, you're dominating in such a male dominated industry.
Yes, no, it's not easy. I think it was even harder for my mom, for example. So I think we're doing okay on these generations. I mean, everybody is speaking about that, and there's more data around it, and they even the patriarchy sometimes feels guilty around it. So I think there's a lot of things going on about the gender gap. So I think it's going to be way more easier, and I hope I make it even easier for the next generation.
I couldn't agree with you more. Leaving a legacy and leaving things the way that we found them, but better for the next generation, I think would just, one, make the world a better place, but also make the tequila industry a better industry. Um, I've had guests on before where it may or may not be, they're the first generation doing their brand, but they're trying to leave their brand and everything that they're doing within the industry for their kids and their grandkids. So, I applaud you for that. And when and just kind of talking about the gender gap and being a female master distiller, when was the first time that someone ever underestimated you, and how did you prove them wrong?
I don't know exactly. I have four brothers, so I think I'm proving myself since ever. And in the industry, I think one of the hardest probably jobs that I had was outside the distillery was when I was working as master distiller of Tres Agaves. That was a great experience. But it was a new place and nobody knew me and I didn't knew anyone. So that's when everybody tried to make a prior judgment of who you are and what you're capable of. And they assume that everything that you say is wrong and that they are always right, of course. So it's very hard to work that way on the assumption that you don't know anything and on the assumption that you you cannot actually make new ideas or I don't know, it's very complicated. So I think that was one of the jobs that I loved and I hated the most at the same time because I also realized that I had a lot of potential, to be honest. I love the way that I was open markets with my in that moment with my boss and with the team that we have around. And I don't know, from the the criticism just weighs way less when you have a team that supports you. So there is not exactly a hard time if you know who is on your team and if you are open to always have a good communication with everyone around you. Now, of course, I am no longer in that position. I think it was way more intelligent and at the end more benefit for the legacy itself to go back to HDO because I learned how to be outside the family because I used to believe that family was the problem. And no, there's good people inside and outside every single time. Is everything about communication. And at least with your family is your family. You know, you will be open to do whatever it takes to have a good communication. And with people that is not actually related to you, it's like they don't really care about your feelings. I mean, it's way more probably stressful to try to achieve some common ground on the ideas. And with family, you know that is for certainty in a long time relationship because it's not only your family, but your kids and probably their kids and everybody's kids is going to be there. So we have to be very open about that. But I think that was the first time when I was working over there.
Now, would you say that's probably been one of the toughest barriers that you've ever had to face going outside the family?
Ah, um, probably yes. Probably yes, because it break a lot of rules, right? We were not supposed to be working outside the family. It's like, how dare you? So I'm not sure if that was the hardest because I did it with a lot of passion and I wanted to do it. And I think they also, my dad encouraged me to do it. I think he also agreed to do it. And I think
Okay.
the actual hardest part was when I went back to the family business and I told everyone what we were doing wrong. I think that was the hardest part. It's not, I mean, it's not easy to go out, but to get back and tell like, yeah, we are having a lot of issues that we are not able to recognize because we are inside. I mean, you are on the same context every single day. You cannot see what you have in front of you as a problem. You see it as normal. So when you are going back and you recognize these toxic patterns probably and you speak about that, it's like that's the hardest part, I guess. Not going outside. It was kind of easy to go outside, but to get in with a new idea, with a different perspective, and tell everyone like, oh yeah, we're doing this wrong. That was very hard, but someone had to do it.
And what better person than you?
Well, I don't know about that, but
Uh,
it was me. They wanted or not.
So that kind of leads into my next question. Do you feel that the industry now respects women as master distillers more? Or do you feel like maybe you have to fight for every inch in this industry?
I think in every business you have to fight for every inch on the retail, every inch on the prices. Everything is a fight out there because we're speaking about capitalism and business. I do think that they are. I'm not sure if they respect more. I think that they are more careful about speaking out loud about women, because now everyone can record and everyone can say right in front of them, you said that. So it's not as easy as it was before. And I think the Tequila Chamber is making some questionnaires around how many women do you have in your facility and what are you doing about this? What are you doing around that? So I think those statistics are going to be like really uh, convenient to know where are we and how long we will take us to be closing these gender gaps. So we have to wait for those statistics. So I'm not sure if they respect more. I think they are more careful with the comments that they say. But if you go to the Tequila Chamber or to the CRT, you still see 9 out of 10 places full with men. So I don't think we've been in that position where you can see like 50-50. I mean, it's not there. There is no way. But
Do you think that it'll ever get to the point of maybe being 50-50 or even 60-40?
eventually, I will guess eventually, because at some moment, for example, I have 4 brothers and everyone has daughters. Everyone has daughters. So I will assume that someday they will keeping the legacy if they want to, or at least they will have the opportunity. They can say no, but they will have the opportunity. And it could be an opportunity that you can reject, but at least there's an opportunity for you to do it. Instead of just, oh, you're a woman, you are not allowed to do this. I mean, we're not going to be seeing that happening, I guess, in the next generation, I hope. Um, but 50-50, probably not. I will say, yeah, 60. I will do it with 70 anyway. But yes, the change will come.
And, I think that with the amount of women that are in the industry now and, what you've just described, I think that it'll probably get there. My guess, I'm going to say the next 10 years, we will get there. With female master distillers such as yourself, Anna Marie Moray, I can't
Romero.
speak.
Yes.
No. Um, with you two pioneers leading the way in this industry as far as female master distillers, like, the heights for women in this industry are bar none at this point.
True. True. And not only being master distillers, being the CEOs of any company.
Yeah. In talking about CEOs, yes, of course, there are far more women now getting into the tequila industry that are CEOs of their own tequila company. And I feel like there are several that go all the way to an all female distillery, having a female master distiller. Like, they want to showcase women. And I think that's one of the greatest things that anyone can do in this industry is showcase not only those people that make the tequila, but also showcase everyone else in the background of that.
Yes. Yes. So I hope it's more than a job also. It lead us to be also the owners. Besides that, it's like there's so much to grow.
If you were to give a piece of advice to the next generation of women looking to get into the tequila industry and making tequila and being a CEO of their own tequila company, what would you say and what advice would you give them when they're like, oh, I don't know if I can do this? Like, what advice would you give them in order to push them through?
Hmm, I will say that, of course, it's not easy. Nothing is easy, but we have to be very disciplined, very careful, and never, never, ever stop learning. Never stop listening, but always taking your own decisions. Your instinct will take you way far than any book, but also books are really important. So I think it's just about losing the fear and stop listening to the comments of what people say and probably start getting new friends if the friends that you have right now doesn't encourage you to grow. So this industry is like any other. There's some place to grow. There is some place uh, to be yourself, to innovate. So there's a lot to do in the industry, and I only wish that new talented people get in to be willing to do this even better, as we were saying previously, to leave a better industry for the future generations.
Do you feel like being a woman has ever given you more of an edge of sensing, creating, or innovating in the tequila industry?
Um, I would love to say that it's not a gender thing, but in my experience, there's a lot of women that wants to prove themselves and that they are willing to do anything what it takes to actually prove that they are worthy, that they can innovate, that they are creative. So I see way more, you know, eager to grow in women. That's for one side. And from the other side, I also see that the women are way more open to see different perspectives and then to get into a conclusion that absorbs or that combines every perspective. I see that my brothers are really intelligent to pursue one goal from one perspective, to really focus into one thing and achieve it. But I think as a woman, you can see like other perspectives around your goal. Like, how is this going to affect not only on the tequila quality, but also on finances, but also on human resources, but also on marketing? Is this helpful? Is this valuable? Is this not? Is this just purely cost, but it doesn't add anything that the market is looking for? So I guess the women are way more open to have these conversations around it. And yes, for that reason, I do believe that that helps a lot in the business.
You know, during your growing stages from when you first started to where you're at now, has there ever been a moment in time where you're like, I can't do this, or you've doubted yourself? And how did you bring yourself out of that?
Yes, every month. I guess it's difficult sometimes. I'm very emotional, and I always believe that, I don't know, it can be better and also it can be worse. And also, I'm a nightmare. So I love, first of all, to have a really strong balance with my husband, for example. I think he encouraged me to keep going. And he always support me as, if you want to quit, let's quick and get over it. But I love music, to be honest. And every single time that I'm a little down and a little sad and blue, I always hear music and remind myself, what am I doing this? So I have notes in my cell phone like, hey, Iliana, you're doing this because of this and this and this and that. And remember that, remember that. So when I feel sad, I put it some really, it could be sad music, could be happy music. It's usually sad when I'm sad. But I hear whatever I have to say to myself, and that's how I remember what I'm actually trying to achieve. And I also look back and say, like, look how far had you arrived. So don't forget about that. You just have to keep moving. And that's what I do.
Now, what would you say is harder, earning the title of master distiller or actually keeping that title?
Well, first of all, I don't have a degree as master distiller, so I'm still fighting for that. Keeping it, I will say like being relevant on this or any type of industry is really hard to do in any type of business. I mean, you can be into marketing, you can be into, I don't know, podcast, you can be anything, and you always have to fight to keep yourself relevant out there, right? So that's the hardest part to do. And because, getting to one point just puts you in a position where you are able to dream in what is going to be your next position. So right now that I am on charge of the distillery, the only thing that I'm thinking is how far can I get it? And if we are able to build another distillery, if we are able to grow it, to double it, to triple the size of this distillery. So it's a continuous gain. But that's part of the fun.
And so what would you say the most satisfying moment when you take a look around and everything that you've built and everything that you're helping others build, when you take a look around, what would you say the most satisfying moment is? And do you feel that that just solidifies your seat at the table in this industry?
Mm, when I look at my team and how are they growing, not only in size, but like the amount of people that we have in the distillery, but how they develop themselves inside the distillery, how they didn't know how to do anything and how they are now experts around this industry. So I'm very proud to be around them and see the growth that we had. And I am also really proud when I see the next generation full of women. I have a lot of, yeah, girls in my family. So I cannot wait to see them grow and that they will know that they have the chance of being on the direction of being on marketing, of being in the other part of the world selling tequila or promoting or educating around tequila. So to open their minds, that is really satisfying and I'm eager to see that happen.
I can only imagine, how that must feel building a legacy that way. Talking a little bit about the legacy that we have talked about so far. If history only remembered one sentence about Ileana Partida, what do you want that sentence to be?
Um, I wrote one in Spanish, but I will try to say it in English. That goes, I like to be like the agave, with the roots on my land, but always looking at the sky. And that for me means that I always going to be grateful with this land, but I will always keep dreaming also.
Okay. And how about let's get the Spanish version of that as well.
Soy como el agave, con las raíces firmes en mi tierra, pero siempre mirando al cielo.
Perfect. Okay, so now I have a few rapid fire questions for you.
Okay.
Tradition or innovation? If you had to sacrifice one forever, which would you keep?
I will keep innovation. Otherwise, it will never be an evolution on this world.
I love that. What's more powerful in tequila making, your palate, your instincts, or your courage?
Courage. No question. Always.
If Amatitensa could break one unwritten rule of tequila, what would it be?
Gender doesn't matter.
What's one single moment you knew you had to become more than just a master distiller? You had to become a force to be reckoned with.
uh, um, right now. Now that you mention, thank you.
Listen, I love it. I'm so glad that the podcast could bring this out in you.
You just did.
Last question. Legacy or disruption? Which word defines you better and why?
disruption, because I'm trying to break the rules in a nice, gentle, and innovative way.
Your words could never be spoken. And, I appreciate your time and I thank you so much. Where can everyone find you on social media, Ileana?
They can find me on Instagram as Ileana Partida, Facebook, Iliana Elizabeth Partida, and my distillery, Tequilera Hacienda de Oro or Tequilera Amatitense. Tequila Amatitense, sorry.
Perfect. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining in tonight. Have a good night.
You too. Thanks to all of you. See you soon.